People that listen to our podcast, you know what they want to hear? They want to hear four fucking grizzly bears getting down on some bullshit. That's what they want to hear.
Welcome to the Drivers Project podcast, featuring hosts Dominic Selzy, JJ Hickle, Sam Hafertepe Jr., and myself, Daryl Turford.
The Drivers Project podcast is brought to you by Kaiser Aluminum Wheels. Be wiser, buy Kaiser.
Well, fellas, it's been a while, but we're back with another Drivers Project podcast presented by Kaiser Wheels. We actually tried to do a Chili Bowl podcast, but Dom had an emergency while we were recording, and Dom is probably going to miss the next few episodes. He had to go in for cock reduction surgery, or he had a deviated septum. It was one or the other. I can't remember which. So we got JJ, Sam, and Jackson with us today. JJ, you're probably pretty happy about the old Super Bowl.
Oh man, love to see it. I a lot of people were complaining that it was a boring game, but watching your team dominate for 60 minutes to win the Super Bowl is pretty awesome in my book. It was awesome.
And what do you got going on with the team? Are you building the 360 team up? Are we building the 410 team up? Do we need help with that team? What are we doing?
Pretty much a lot of everything you said. I plan to basically gear up to run most of the 360 stuff in Knoxville. Like, we'll start out racing there with my 63 car every week, along with the Matt Morrow 410 deal, just because I'm already going to be there. It makes sense. Our shop's a mile away. And then this year, kind of instead of having a second 360, I've put my eggs into having a 410 program a little bit more. And so, yeah, really trying to build that up and kind of get the resources in place to run a lot more 410 stuff. There's high limits in the area a lot more. There's quite a few shows that are just in the area this year that weren't last year, so we can pick up quite a few races as long as we got our ducks in a row. So me and Blake have been working hard to get everything kind of in line. And yeah, I think we got another guy coming out here from Washington to help us this year, Adam. So I'm really looking forward, just kind of getting all the pieces in place, and now just trying to be as organized and prepared for when we get rolling here into March and beginning of April.
Jackson, you've obviously been pretty busy with Dirt Vision. What have you been up to lately?
I just got back from Volusia on Monday. I was down there with you guys for ASCS, and then we did 4 nights of the Outlaws, and I was going to stay for USAC, but I decided I should come home and work on stuff in the shop. You know, I got to work on some of the weekly production stuff for Volusia. I'm going to go up to Millbridge probably next week and work on that weekly stuff before they get going, and then I'm going out with you guys to Arizona to watch more ASCS.
Speaking of going out, your birthday happened during Volusia, did it not?
Yep. Big wind out for my 27th birthday.
You got
froze our asses off.
Sexy team, though.
What's that?
You got to see a pretty sexy team in the restaurant, though.
Oh yeah, it was a great time. Good food too.
Sam, you did some racing. Tell us about your couple of weeks in Volusia.
We didn't win anything, but I was pretty pleased with some gains we made on our car from the start that we had last year. It looked like the 360 competition was a little bit stiffer this year too. We were lacking a couple of guys, but overall I thought the competition was pretty stiff in the 360 races. And some of the changes we made with our program, I felt like we made some pretty good gains. And then for the 410 stuff, I felt like we unloaded with a lot of speed. The first night, I felt like we were pretty good, probably half of the feature. And then at the end, we just faded really bad once kind of the grip level kind of went away for us. And then the second night, I felt like we unloaded with some pretty good speed again. Lacked a little bit in time trials that night, but in the feature, we actually felt a lot better, but really couldn't put together more than 3 laps before the ultimate undoing of our night. I think we went into the work area 3 times. So usually anytime you go to the work area 3 times, it's not a positive thing. So, and then the final night, I don't know what the Outlaws were thinking. We went out and qualified on a track that wasn't even close. I think the fastest lap turn in hot laps was like a 13.8 by gravel, and quick time ended up being a 13.0. And then, we went out on a track that was a 13.8 for gravel. I don't know what we were in a hurry for or what the deal was there. I figure if you've raced there 6 nights when sprint car competition, I'd figure you'd probably have a pretty good idea of what the speed of the track should be. It's just a bad call on their part and took us from being I felt like that's the best our car had been the whole time we'd been there in qualifying, and it took us from being a contender to honestly non-existent. The track was so fast that night. It was really hard to come from behind on a night like that through the heats, and we didn't go anywhere in the heat, and started 5th in the dash, and I think I ran 6th or something like that, or the dash. I'm sorry, we didn't even sniff the dash. I'm sorry, we were in the B. But yeah, I started 5th. I think we ran like 6th or so or something like that, and just we weren't very good in the B. We freed up too much. But all in all, taken away from there, we hadn't had that much speed in a 410 at Volusia in quite a few years, I think, and we felt a lot more competitive in a lot of situations than we had in the past. So coming home, I know maybe not all the results show everything, but we had some speed that we didn't have before, and we had a race car that I felt was more capable than what we had before. So I felt pretty positive going into the year. We're off on a good start.
So there was 2 things I wanted to touch on from our run at Volusia there. The first one was you had some observations about where you felt your 360 program was. Could you talk about that?
I mean, we qualified like crazy. I mean, we were awesome in qualifying. And just messing around with different stuff that we've made some changes on. I felt like before on the half mile stuff, like we don't really, ASCS doesn't really run a lot of half mile stuff, and but when we do, we've always been probably one of the better cars on the half miles on the ASCS deal. But I think it kind of proved that, obviously ASCS guys, I guess it gave us a lack of knowing actually how good we were on a half mile, just because the guys we race with, they don't race it either. So, yeah, maybe we were one of the faster cars amongst the group, but when we got racing against some teams that actually run halves all the time, some good 410 teams, our speed wasn't where we thought it should be. And it was good to see that, because it kind of told us, hey, you're not as good as you think you are on these half miles. So we really truly made a lot of gains, going directions that I've never really went before. And that's why I'm so excited about this year, is just because, usually you kind of stay in the same box for a long time because you've done this for a long time, and it's hard to break old habits. And we kind of broke out of that shell and found other ways to get speed, and I was really happy about that. So, I mean, the gains that we've made, I mean, some of the stuff that I don't really want to talk about, just because it's stuff that's pretty proprietary to our program. And if we've hit on something, we don't want to give out info that we may be going, or roads that we may be going down.
Yeah, like I think it's fair to say, though, the speed we had in the 410 we actually found in the 360 dash. We just didn't have the combination quite figured out at feature time for the final 360 race, which sucked. And
yeah,
then,
I mean, I'm not going to say we didn't have the combination figured out. I just felt like we made some wrong changes. The track actually probably got better for the A. Got a lot more grip up in the curb, and the bottom got chopped up a little more because of the modifieds, and kind of was our undoing. I feel like we got out in clean air, and maybe we get around Brady when he comes across there, and we don't get tangled with him. maybe we're looking at a different picture there. But, after that really happened, that slowed us down quite a bit and then got us, I think we lost 2 or 3 spots after that right away. And, we were more of an out front kind of clean air kind of car and just was undoing for us, to be honest. I mean, we had a chance to really win that race, and then as soon as we got passed by a couple of guys after getting in it with Brady there, just shuffled us back. And then once we did that, we were definitely no good. We couldn't run our own race at that point. We were playing defense.
Do you feel like the track kind of threw you for a loop at all when you first got there, like the first night? And then, like, what do you think? Like, do you feel like overall, like, are you happy with how the track? I know Saturday the 410 deal was kind of tough, but
Jackson,
I thought overall,
you're actually leading into a question that I was about to ask. Sam and I were having lunch, and he made a great comment, and it's exactly what you're about to bring up. Sam, you felt what this track did was expose teams' weaknesses and showed which teams are complete teams. Could you expand on that?
Well, like, before, just say, old Volusia, not old Volusia, 3 years ago Volusia, whatever, it's 3 years Volusia. It was so sandy that it was very, very hard to get the track wide enough to race good. And anytime you have a sandy surface like that, the grip level's not high enough in the good areas to be able to, I don't want to put it in better words so it's more understood, but like now, if you go back to racing on sand, if you go run the top, you go slide across the middle, the grip change from the cushion to across the middle is not very much different on sand. But like when you race on clay, like what they have now, you're not just going to blow across the middle in the black and make hay. And a lot of teams could do that in the last three or 4 years and really not have to be line dependent. And now, like, it really shows the teams that are complete because, a guy has to be good in the grip. And the difference between the grip and not grip is majorly different. And the teams that could really corral their program around what was going on there. I mean, yeah, we still saw the usual suspects, for all the Outlaw shows, the usual suspects were all up front, the main guys. That usually doesn't change because they are complete teams. But like if you go back to the 360 ranks, you could see, guys weren't just flogging something around because the track, the good teams really migrated to the front because obviously grip levels expose, weaknesses in lots of teams. Whether there's a lot of grip or a little bit of grip, your line that you pick going into the corner has to be more precise. You can't just slide across there and just have a good race car. The surface is so much better now. I guess the only thing to answer your other question, the only thing I was disappointed in is, man, everybody rant and raved about how good the racing was on the 360 shows, and it was slick. And I mean, it took some rubber, but it was like patchy rubber. It wasn't like where it locked you down way, way bad, and tire wear wasn't terrible. And then we went to the Outlaw show, and the best show we had all weekend was when Baston went from 10th to the lead on a very slick racetrack, and we never saw that again. I don't understand, what the reasoning was or why we couldn't do that. I mean, I can't really say they can blame it on the rain, because the final day we didn't get any rain. So I don't know what the thinking behind that was, because I think if you pulled all the drivers and teams there, I would say they would have preferred the track they had on the first night of the Outlaw show. And I don't know if there was a miscommunication on prep or anything, but they had proved, like with the 360 show, they definitely could do it. They could produce that night after night after night, and they did it. It was just weird to me that the final 2 nights were the heaviest 2 nights, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But all in all, I'm still commend them. The track was, I mean, worlds above what they've had, and I was very impressed of the surfaces that we did get.
Yeah, and you also felt like teams that had like guys that were good with fueling versus guys like me that are looking at a sheet, they also got exposed. Didn't you also feel like that was happening too?
Well, anytime you have grip levels like that, I mean, guys that know how to work on their stuff, they're going to be able to get a lot more juice out of their operation than, if you're on sand. Yeah, I mean, you're on a half mile and yeah, your motor's got to run, but when you're on sand, it's not as important as, when you're gripped up like that on clay, your engine has to be running proper. Like on sand, you got enough wheel spin that, engine tuning isn't as important as it is on clay.
So we've had Sam talking a lot. Jackson, I felt like I interrupted you there. Did you have another question?
So I'm not making excuses for the track prep people that I thought they all did a great job, but I feel like in one of my other Dirt Vision coworkers who knows a little bit more about track prep than I do, I feel like, but he said that I feel like maybe like the dew point the last like Saturday night maybe could have been a little bit of a factor. I don't know. I just felt like there was a lot more moisture in the air that maybe they didn't account for. And that's why it stayed. So what I also think maybe just more of the like there was more modifieds on the track Saturday. So I thought maybe they're trying to account for that. I don't really know, but I mean, I think that version of Volusia is, I mean, obviously that's the best we've seen. I mean, Sam, did you feel like seeing those guys like run the diamond line in the 360, like that was awesome. Like, there was a little bit different lines you could run. Did you feel like they're like the patchy rubber that you mentioned, was that more like you feel like off a 2 on the top, or was that more down at the other end?
Well, it's what was crazy is like, and I talked to a couple other guys about it, is like, it was so unpredictable. Usually once you lay rubber in a spot, it stays in that spot. And like, say if it starts at the top, it just slowly moves down, or if it rolls around the bottom, it stays around the bottom, a groove or two wide. But like, man, you would roll one lap and exit off a 2, just maybe a car width off the wall, and you'd feel it, and it, you'd lock you down, you'd rip right through there. And the next lap, you could go right back through the same spot, and it wasn't there. And then a lap later, say you move down a lane, well, you hit some. Like, it was so crazy to me. And that's why the racing was so good, is because it's like everybody was racing so far across the groove off the exits of 2 and stuff that I feel like guys were throwing crumbs over the existing rubber, and it would never just lock down in one place. And that's what made it so cool, because, like if the night where Courtney it looked like he put a whole straightaway on in one corner, or down the whole back chute, it just looked like he put that whole straight on Cole. And it's because he hit it right at the right time. And it really, like, it was really impressive. Like, any of those guys that were in the rubber or not in the rubber, they would tell you, like, it was very unpredictable. But it was kind of a good thing, because it made the racing good, because, man, one guy would squirt by a guy for a lap or 2, and then all of a sudden, the 2 guys that he just passed would reel him back in, just because it was so patchy all the way across. I mean, I thought, to be honest, like, I've never raced a track where the rubber groove had moved around that much, and never got super locked down. That was what was really cool about it. The way I put it is, we're burning off a set of tires anyway. So if it lays rubber like it did, we don't really care, because the tire wear wasn't bad anyway. And it wasn't like, it wasn't like we were going to run those tires again the next night anyway. So, if they could have just made it like that, I guess that's the part that bothered me. The final 2 nights was, you have the equipment, we can always add water, we can't take it away, So like, to me, they had a really good baseline of what we could promote for good racing. And I would have just liked to have seen them approach it a little differently. Yeah, I'm not saying, and the other thing that was different the final night too, is we went straight into 4 LCQs with the mods. if they'd went right to our heat races, we probably could have polished it off a little bit. But right when they went straight to those LCQs, I really think that's what was the undoing of the racetrack, because then it chopped all that stuff up. And then when it chopped it up, like, there was no turning back at that point.
Sure. And I thought for tire wear, like, I went down the first 2 ASCS nights when the track was arguably the most slick, and Sonny's tires were fine. I mean, the left rear was burn off on Friday, and then for the most part, like, it really wasn't all that bad, which is impressive. I mean, you're not running those tires again, like you said, but I mean, they were still decent.
We killed one tire. Is that not right, Sam? One right rear, and then we're going to
like, I can tell you, our tire bill this year compared to years past, I mean, it's not even comparable. And that's honestly, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Like, I mean, our 410 tires, they still look damn good, you know, like, I was very impressed with everything. I mean, obviously, we probably wanted I think a lot of guys probably wanted to see a couple different, the first night of the Outlaw show, they want to probably see that 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, that's
instead of seeing what we saw the last 2 nights. But
yeah,
all in all, I mean, what that place was 2-3 years ago, and what it is now, it's light years better. Light years.
I mean, I can remember just a couple years ago when we raced on the Super Bowl Sunday, and they scraped all the dirt off the track overnight, and it rubbered in qualifying, and like, they've just had so many issues the last few years. That's just so impressive that they, for a lack of a better term, it goes just from being a shit show to one of the best services we've seen in a while. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it has the ability to race about as good as any half-mile racetrack you'll go to. I feel like it, for a half-mile racetrack, the racing usually isn't very good, but that place promoted some really good racing. Even the nights it was heavy, the shows were good shows.
Yeah, and every class of car has been decent. Modifieds, the sprint cars, the non-wing cars, the late models have been great, and I think the big blocks, which I would assume are probably racing right now, is probably pretty good.
So, JJ, we haven't really heard from you. What were your thoughts on the Saturday night? Brady Bacon won I thought, really entertaining race. What were your takeaways from watching Brady get that done and the race in general?
Yeah, I thought, I mean, all the races were extremely entertaining, but yeah, I thought that was a really good race. I mean, I don't know, as far as takeaways go, it was just real impressive that he was able to, I guess, basically, he came on at the right time. Like, it's just watching a race like that was super interesting. There's just kind of, these guys already went over it, but there were so many movers and shakers and big runs and stuff. And it just seemed like, he just came on at a good time. And he, you know, I thought that he was extremely impressive. I don't really have a lot on it. It was a lot of races ago, Daryl.
I was really impressed. That 20 car is always dynamite in Pennsylvania when it runs 360s, and I always felt like it was just a little off. And I feel like on Saturday night, that car looked awesome. They had it dialed in, and I thought Brady did a great job, and I thought they looked really, really impressive. The other thing that was damn impressive to me, and I don't know, maybe you guys as drivers might be able to answer this better. JJ, I'll go to you first. How hard is it to do what Sunshine did, where he was injured and then comes back 6 months later, basically, and wins his first night out?
I mean, I'm not necessarily impressed with, not like I'm not impressed, but I know Sunshine's like mentally tough. He's not going to be scared to get into a race car and go fast. Like, that part's not impressive to me, but how sharp he was and how pinpoint he was in all the most crucial times, like his high-speed decision-making and his processing is where I was super impressed. Like, that's a spot where you might be a little rusty, and then coming off of, like, you know, a pretty hardcore head injury, that could be something where it's like you might be a tick off for a little bit, you know, and that's where I thought he was extremely impressive. Like, I was not expecting him to be as spot on and sharp as he was the first couple of nights out. So, you know, like, and I'm not saying it's not impressive to do what he did as far as just come back and be willing to do what he did. But I think that that's just kind of what, you know, Tyler's been hurt before and come back just as strong as ever. And so just to be able to come back from a head injury and be so sharp and come back from that much time off with very minimal rust, that showed a lot. He's obviously prepared to probably have a good season and pick up right where he left off.
Sam, if I'm not mistaken, you smashed and broke your arm in Oklahoma, and then did you win your first night back after that one? And whether you did or not, what were like the challenges you faced, or maybe the things that people don't realize after a long layoff like that?
Yeah, we actually won both. We won both races that weekend. We came back, but I mean, to compare his situation to mine is not a
No,
comparison
I'm not
at
trying
all.
to do that. Just like, what are you dealing with as a driver is what I'm asking. Obviously,
Well, I think in
there's-
his situation, like, you know, mine was like a unknown type thing. Like, are you truly ready to go? Like, you know, what kind of problems are you going to encounter? Like, man, his situation would be so much more, to me, so much more questions like rolling through his head, right? Like, you just broke your back. That's not the first time you've done it. You probably don't need to do it again. You've messed your vision up, like you're trying to get that back. Like, there's so many things that he had to deal with in that situation. And I think honestly going to run the 360 deal was probably a good thing for him because, okay, yeah, the 360 deal is a lot more slowed down than the 410, maybe slowly gets him back into the feel of things. Obviously he looked dynamite right out of the gate. No issues there. I just think for him, and I would still think even after Volusia, because they didn't have the best 410 runs that they were probably looking for, but I would say he probably is in a situation where he still has a little bit of unknown, right? I think that's only natural until they get in the swing of things and maybe get a few points races under their belt. You know, when they go down there, you don't know, like, if they're trying some stuff with the car or what they're doing, you know, because they're not points races for them. So, you know, they have the ability to throw some things at some stuff, maybe trying some different motor stuff down there. But from the outside looking in, yeah, I mean, in the situation he was in, I mean, there would be a lot of questions I'd have for myself in that situation. And I feel like he can probably breathe a little easier after leaving Volusia, that everything's going to be rolling in the right direction going forward.
While we're on this vein of drivers coming back from injury, just as of about 15 seconds ago, Stuart Friesen won his first race back after his injury with the Super Dirt Car Series at Volusia. So that's also pretty cool. His injury was insane.
that's Canadian toughness, you know. That's Canadian grit. That's all that is. You'll see it. You'll see it in the Olympic hockey.
Good Lord.
Daryl, the medal tracker, we got like 12 medals and y'all got like 2.
We'll be fine.
Hey, another right as of tonight, the tall kid won a USAC race.
Yeah, I was saying that's the other thing I was about to say. Shout out Trey Osborne.
Yeah.
He just got his first USAC sprint car win at Ocala.
That's awesome.
He's like the best. He's like the guy that's like 9 feet tall, right?
9 feet tall and like tows on an open trailer and rebuilds his motors.
Works on his own shit.
Like,
that's badass.
Yeah.
He started on the pole, got past for the lead, and then drove back by him for the win. So
after watching the heat races, I'm surprised anybody passed anybody. That's awesome. It was tough.
So I'm not gonna call us geniuses, but we're geniuses. So a few podcasts ago, before Jackson was here, I believe, we were asked to name young stars of the future, and we gave about 3 to 5 names. And one of the names on that list, a young JJ Hickle, said Cam Martin was going to be a driver to watch in the future. Then he ran about the most low-key 13th at the Knoxville Nationals I've ever seen in my life.
After locking in on his prelim night, that's an important fact, too. That's impressive.
Yeah.
And once again, if you didn't get the hint, he had a very, very impressive Volusia, including, I want to say, the second night running the fence. JJ, you followed him for a while. You've been telling us about him for a while. What do you think of his performance?
It was awesome. Like, just, it was very, everything you kind of know about him. Like I told him, I said, man, like, just never change. Like, he races like he wants to win. Like, he's not really afraid to crash, but he doesn't do stupid stuff, in my opinion. Like, he's running the fence as hard as he can every lap and bouncing off of it. And I thought he looked fairly in control the whole time, and just, got a little bit out, I think just out veteraned, as the rubber came in and stuff. But man, the potential that kid has is, I'd say, sky's the limit, and him and Skylar have been kind of building that thing just real slow burn for probably 2, 3, 4 years now. And now they're kind of getting to reap the rewards. And it's so awesome to see a kid like that just, I mean, he kind of does everything right. Everybody saw he went home and had to skip the last race of the ASCS race where he was definitely had a shot to go be a contender, and went home and did his schooling that he had to do, and then came back down to the Outlaws where he probably knew he was going to take his licks, and he's just, he's doing it right. And I feel like they're kind of building him up right, going to hopefully get him some more 410 races this year. And he's extremely fun to watch. And you can tell as he gets more confidence, he's just, he's getting better and better in a hurry.
Sam, you and Cam actually had several battles last year. I think there's 3 races where you guys ran 1-2, with each of you winning. What are you seeing from Cam, and what are you seeing as a driver that he can work on, and what are the steps he's taking?
I mean, he's a gasser for sure. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he's, honestly, like JJ was saying, like, he's up in the fence and doing it, but he doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. I mean, like I watched him, in the dash the one night, 360 show with him and Brown, and he kind of looks maybe a little out of control, but he never makes mistakes. It looks like, I don't know, it just looks like, not natural what he's doing, but he hasn't really, like, it's not like he's crashing. He's not making mistakes. He's not running over people. He's good to race with. You don't really have to worry about him. And most guys like that are, pretty aggressive or, gassed up on the wall or whatever, usually they're all over the place and running into shit. And he doesn't do that, I mean, I don't think you can really critique a guy like him because he's not making lots of mistakes. Like, I feel like if he was crashing all the time, okay, well, then you could critique him. But I don't think there's a lot to say to make him better. It's just time. Time always tells. And I think that the one key thing that we don't ever talk about, not to take anything away from Cam, Skylar's doing a pretty good job working on that race car too. Like, they've been pretty fast at a lot of places, and I don't think he probably gets enough credit for Cam's success either.
I was going to ask you that, Jackson. Like, I feel like for years the Martins kind of floundered. More so, Chris. Cam wasn't racing the whole time. They brought in Lasowski with Chris. They have Skyler now with Cam. How much do you think that stability is helping these kids get kids? Chris isn't really a kid. How much do you think it's helping the Martins get faster?
I mean, it's definitely helping. I think the improvement from Chris has been pretty vast. I think he struggles a little bit later in the night come feature time, but I mean, I feel like he qualified well, raced decent in the heat race, and kind of just needs to figure it out a little bit later in the night. I mean, but I think I think anybody that has Daniel Lasowski is going to, with his knowledge and helping younger guys out, I think that's only going to be a positive for most of those guys. I mean, Cam I'm with like what Sam said, like, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. It's super impressive. Like, for the race, he has pretty decent racecraft for his age. And what stood out to me the most is off the racetrack, we go to interview him for Dirt Vision, and he's a really nice kid, really good kid, respectful, he's super talkative, nice guy to be around. I mean, that goes a long way. So I mean, him tank slapping it off the wall at Volusia was incredible. That was awesome to watch. And, I look forward to seeing what he can build on this year because I really think it could be kind of a come out year for Cam.
One point on what you're saying, Daryl, is on that another guy on that list.
Well,
Was
we're going there.
Casey Jetter.
We're going there.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Because that was my victory lap.
Yeah. So basically,
like he's doing awesome.
Basically, what we're trying to say is when you're trashing our top 25 and top 100 lists, yeah, remember Cam Martin. Yeah, you're welcome, people. Moving on to the 410s, the guy everyone pretty much wants to see travel is Anthony Macri. But I've got to say, after the King's Royal and the performance he put on at Volusia, why would you travel? You get to stay at home and you still have the speed to go to these tracks where the competition is insane. JJ, what do you think of that performance by Anthony Macri?
He had so much speed. Like the way he came up on like just all of them, but like when he caught Brown for the lead, it was like he's catching these guys going so much faster than them that he's just it's so impressive how much speed he's carrying. But man, late in the race there, my biggest takeaway, I just thought the ending was so crazy because I thought for sure watching it live that he took the left front shock off or knocked the front end out of the thing or something because he was like one with the inside tire without hitting it. I mean, it was crazy, really crazy to see. And then he kind of got dinked up, and for him to turn back under, I mean, I was going crazy on the last lap watching him kind of diamond back under and get under who'd he pass there on the last lap there?
Chase Dietz.
No. Dietz and Gravel. To get back under Gravel like he did was like, it was very cool to see. I mean, the level of entertainment of just watching Anthony Macri race is like, I wish we could watch him on a tour. He's so fun to watch, and he's like he's like an extremely developed version of kind of like how Cam races, honestly. Like you talk about a guy that's like on the absolute wicked edge all the time, but really kind of makes unnatural look normal. He's really good at that. And I mean, Macri carries a lot of speed, and it's a cool win. I think everybody was pretty entertained by that one.
Sam, I don't know how it came across on Dirt Vision, but you and I watched the race together in turn 2, and you could pretty much tell on the first set of corners that Macri was going to be a rocket ship. What do you think watching that car, and what do you think made it so fast?
Well, when Brown was out leading, and Brown's usually really good out in clean air. Like he's been known for that for a long time. You could just watch, like, I remember watching Brown go into 3 one time, and when he kind of cut across to hit the bottom, like when he would turn to the bottom across the straightaway to hit the bottom on entering 3, it's like you could watch his left rear kind of like dip, and like it looked like it spun a little, and he lost so much speed doing that. And Macri's car, it didn't matter where Macri went. He never lost any speed across the corner. He could turn down low. He could run up high. It didn't matter. The only guy's car that I saw that could maneuver that way with even half as much, and not even half as much speed as Macri had, was Gravel. He was the only guy that could maybe maneuver that way and still be competitive. But Macri's car was unbelievable Saturday night. It was like like Brown's car looked like my car does whenever I'm entering like that and my left rear gets in the slick, like just kind of come out. And you could see it physically. You could just see it. And then Macri's car, it didn't do none of that. And that was, to me, like when he made that move, I was like, it blew me away. And I was like, there's no way he's going to get beat in this race. And the only way that somebody was going to beat him would take a guy like Gravel for something to go his way. And it almost did, like with traffic and everything. But Macri drove a hell of a race, and their race cars, I mean, you got to think about it. He didn't run worse than 4th all week. So like with that, I mean, the only guys doing that good are, like it would just be the only guys that were that good were maybe Gravel and Macedo and Buddy. Like, that's the only guys that were up front every night. And like, if you're in that type of territory that says, yeah, okay, maybe you should be traveling, right? But to your point, why would he? He still can go to any of these shows and run top 5, no problem. So why travel? It makes zero sense for them to travel. He can go back home, be in his bed, and he can still hit all these big money shows and be a competitive car. I think the way they're doing it is honestly really good for him. And if I was them, I wouldn't change anything.
I want to circle back to what JJ said about Macri and hitting the tire coming to the white, because I know that on the broadcast, I took the turn 1 camera coming to the white so you couldn't see it as good. So I have the alternate angle. I'm going to show the folks watching. You can see it.
Yeah, this was insane. There was a photo of this on Twitter.
So watching live, I'm like, oh, the left front shocks ripped. Oh my gosh, dude. That's insane. He hit the dirt that's piled up to the tire.
Yeah.
Watch the guy behind him too. He wasn't far off of it.
No.
There's a in-car video of Pittman a few years ago when he ran the white wheel Great Clips car where they showed the in-car of him doing it, and it's insane. The other thing I don't think people realize is I'm not sure Macri knew the race was over, but I think he did. But when he drove into turn 1 and 2 after the race, he drove in harder than he had all race and made it stick again. Like, his car was insane.
My question is, okay, that tire, go back and pause it.
Okay. Hold.
Okay. So why is the tire out that far is one of my questions. I mean, that wall, it's way back there. So, like, why would we not move that in like 4 feet?
I guess just to ensure they don't hit the blunt end. I guess to just absolutely sure.
It doesn't look like he should make it.
I know those tires have been that exact same way forever. I know they've never changed.
Well, I know now, obviously. And I get it. Like with these beautiful camera angles, these beautiful camera angles we get from the Dirt Vision crew allow us to see all this stuff. So I just, then we can actually comment on why that tire is that far out there.
So we'll go back to night 1. And we were talking about how night 1, we got the track that we were all hoping to see after the 360s. We got it the first night. Spencer Baston looked incredible on night 1. JJ, what were your thoughts on his performance there?
It was awesome. I mean, it took a lot of stuff to go right for him to be in that position, but boy, did he capitalize on it. Like that move where he got back around Buddy coming off a 2, I feel like that was his move of the race, and that was just, it was awesome, man. You could tell that he was up on the wheel and he wanted to win, and like, since he kind of, I guess, reinvented himself, I don't really know how else to put it, but since he's kind of come back on real strong last year after a new change of scenery, man, Spencer Baston's been strong, and like it was a really cool way to start the year with quite a bit of parity. And like, and one side note that has nothing to do with the race, I love the way his car looks, and I haven't really talked to anybody else in my life that likes it. So out there for the public, I really like it. Most people don't. I think it looks awesome, man.
No, I like the 3 car better than it.
It's old school. It looks like something my dad would design. That's why I like it, I think.
So on night 2, Buddy Kofoid got the win. Sam knows from sitting with me, I was way more impressed with his Saturday night 21st to 4th than I was, or wherever he finished, than his Saturday night show. I think he had a great car, but I think he also hustled it. Sam, what'd you think of Buddy? I feel like Buddy made a statement that he's coming after gravel. Is that fair to say?
Well, he's sure as hell in a lot better position after Volusia this year than he was last year. And if that's the case, he's not going to have to play catch up. The other thing you have to realize is when you're going to Volusia, like that track's got Gravel's name written all over it. Their program, everything about that place is tailor made for David Gravel and the 2-car. That everything that they're built on, that place is all about. They what is it, quick time every time they hit the racetrack.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that, Sam.
You're not gonna like.
I mean, it's ridiculous how that thing looks in qualifying. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's their motor program is light years ahead of everybody else, and his race car handles damn good too. Like there's not a lot left on the table for them in a place like that. So for Buddy to even lead there that as close as he is, I mean, I don't think Gravel's sleeping easy. Like, and even Macedo's right there. Nobody had, like, Schatz ain't that far behind, if we really want to get real with it. And then, like, Schuhart's right there. Gravel does not have a big buffer right now. And I don't think he's ever going to have a big buffer this year.
I agree.
Just because they're about to go to tracks that are going to suit Buddy way more than they're going to suit him for at least 3 months. Now, it doesn't mean Gravel's not going to perform on that stage, but I think Buddy's gonna do what Buddy does, and he's still gonna go to Houston's and be dominant there. He's still gonna go to these short tracks and be a better race car on some nights. The biggest thing they need to work on is their qualifying. I mean, sure. It's probably gonna be their undoing if they do not have a race but even with him qualifying bad at Volusia on a night where passing was not an easy thing to do, he still came from 21st to 4th. They've got something figured out race car wise, and I think they probably hit on it probably last year sometime, that gets them on the same zip code as Gravel. And they're the only other car that looks as good as he does in race mode. But the thing is with Gravel, you never get to see him start behind because he never has to. I'd be curious to see what Gravel would look like from 21st on that racetrack. I'm not saying he wouldn't get to 4th. He may have. But I think him and Buddy are the only 2 cars that could do that. Go that far.
We got Gravel's version of the Nationals last year. What do you do? 20 whatever to second?
2 years in a row.
50 laps, so we got 25 laps for Buddy.
I'll be curious to see how the 83 qualifies when we get to some of these smaller places. I really think that they'll be fine qualifying at some of these smaller tracks coming up, for sure.
For sure.
This leads into my question for you, Jackson. We're talking about how, these next few months aren't really Gravel style, but I don't know if you guys remember last year. He had friggin' 12 quick times in the first 14 races or someone
he won like the first 6 out of 11 races or something he won.
And then he was quick time the first 8 races of the year.
So my question to you, Jackson, is when you watch Buddy's performance, does it not drive home just how insane it is to actually beat David Gravel in a championship season? We're watching Buddy do everything right. He's fixing all the mistakes from last year. And I still think he's going to be behind the 8 ball having to qualify against Gravel. What do you think we're going to see this year? I mean, you're going to be out there for the whole season.
So I was going to also say I wouldn't be surprised that, I mean, if we get to the end of, let's say, the US 36 and 81 weekend at the end of March, I would not be surprised if Buddy had a 10-point lead, 12-point lead in the points. I really think it could be rotating, keeping it real close, this up until I think the real tell will be when we get to the Grove, Eldora. I mean, we even go to Knoxville in April. So, really, once we get into the April, May is where it's really going to be important for those guys to qualify well. I mean, I think we're in for a title fight the whole year. I really do. And I do think that if we get post the Nationals and Buddy's, I'll even say 50 points back, I really think he'll win it. I really do. Okay. I really think if he can keep it close to the Nationals, it's his to lose after that. He's been the last 2 years, he's been so lights out post Knoxville that I have a hard time seeing him not winning
So
it.
one point I want to make just on that race that he won, where like, that was a super impressive performance just based on he's kind of controlling the race and like gravel starts eating him up. And I'm watching it with Joanne. She's like, oh man, it looks like gravel's gonna win this thing. I'm like, I won't be surprised here if gravel shows him a nose and Buddy picks it up a couple of notches. And like you could tell that he was really being smart controlling the race. And once he got into traffic or like once he got into that battle with gravel and got into traffic, he drove perfect. Every single thing, watching from above and watching both cars, you couldn't have textbook done it any better. And then he gets out of the car and he says, I don't believe in perfection, but I know I needed to be close. And it was like that performance right there to control the race over gravel, to see gravel, and then to basically be like, oh shit, he's that close, put it on him like that was like, one race is one race, but that was a pretty statement performance as far as a race team and how strong they really are.
And at a track that historically they haven't been great at, and the track that the two cars arguably been the best at. I honestly think too that if I'm not going to say it's going to be a race to who gets the first DNF, because I'm sure, maybe I'm going to say they'll both have more than one, but I really think it could be whoever gets the first DNF is going to be at a big disadvantage. I really do.
And to be, Carson's right. Like I'm excited to see what Carson does this year too, because I feel like for a team that's been in the talk for a few years now, this year they've kind of taken a back seat as far as like the public goes. And Carson and Phil aren't just going to sit around and be like, all right, well, it looks like we're a third place team. I bet you those guys are pretty damn motivated. And like, they're competitors and I know they're going to show up, and it's exciting to see if Buddy and Gravel start racing the hell out of each other. And, there might be a couple run-ins or something, how close Carson and all, the rest of these guys, that the Outlaws are deep. Like it could be really exciting this year. I don't think it's going to be quite the run of like, Gravel's still, he's going to be tough to dethrone, but it's not an obvious pick like it has been in previous years. That's for sure.
I can tell you that Carson's definitely really motivated after last year, and then let's be real, he was non-existent in Australia all off season, so he's definitely really motivated to get back on it and show that he can still do it. Obviously we know he can do it, but
he's a gamer. Right, but he's a gamer. Like he's the type of guy that I feel like they'll elevate their game to try and get there. But
I thought it was
he's there. Like he's there. Like there's no thinking he can get there. Like those three cars are obviously the three best cars, and they have been for a long time. And Macedo's got just as good of a shot to start this year off the right way as those guys do.
So that's where we're at coming out of Volusia. Going back into bike week.
Yeah. Carson Macedo finishes on the podium every night, is fourth in points. Is that what I'm seeing there?
Yeah. That's tough. Fourth in points by what? 4 points.
So that's a three-way tie?
It's
three-way tie. Yes, three-way tie for P1.
Yeah, and then this leads me into my next question. Sam, is Donny Schatz back?
He ain't ever left.
He sure looked like he had the ability to do some damage if they could have got qualified. If they could have qualified, he'd have run top 5 every night.
I think if he starts on the second row of his heat race one of the nights, he wins. He just runs third or fourth in his heat, mid-pack, he probably wins. Or at least podium.
I don't know. I don't think he wins.
It's hard to say when you get to those guys, but I think he could have at least maybe podiumed one of the nights.
That looked like a different Donny Schatz than I remember. Sam knows we got a guy in our shop that just cannot stand Donny Schatz because he's really successful and good at what he does. And he's always wanting people to rip the lip and
he calls him doggy shots, actually.
Yeah, because he's not very good. And even he, after Donnie's B main performances and A main performances, was like, holy shit. I'll give him credit. I thought we saw a way different Donnie Jackson, you're saying he's never left, but he did go winless last year. But I thought that performance all weekend was pretty
he
good.
won't go winless this year. I can promise you that.
No. I'll tell you what my first thought was watching him the first 2 nights when he's passing all the cars coming through the field. That thing is going to be a problem at Eldora.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because he's doing it. He's doing it through the unfavorable parts of the track, kind of.
For sure.
Like it looked a little more old school than because he's had a few good runs, but it just seems like he got the car working more so how he's wanted it to work than it has in a couple of years.
I mean, he was ripping the fence. He was moving around, hammering the thing. Like it.
Yeah, he's obviously comfortable.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Like there was a dash, I want to say, on the first or second night where Brent Marks was ripping the top. And Marks got into the fence twice, and I think he even said it affected his feature, all the damage. So you're like, well,
it did.
And everyone else was running the bottom, so you're like, well, no one's going to go up there. And then there was Donny just absolutely ripping it in the B main. I haven't seen that out of Donny in a while. I thought that was damn impressive. I just wondered your guys' thoughts. Like, is the qualifying going to be an issue where it buries him in points, or can he be a championship contender in your eyes?
No, that qualifying at Volusia is just tough. Like, they're not going to be up against that many strong cars every night in qualifying, and he'll be in a good enough position. Volusia is just a really tough place if you're building a new team. I wouldn't even say building a new team, but it's a really hard place to make speed. And if your motor program is maybe not where you need it to be, it's not something that just changes in 3 nights. Like, it takes a little bit of time. So I think they're about to go to some normal racetracks and he'll be just fine.
And Saturday, he was like one of the first 5 cars out to qualify.
Yeah, I know. I was with him.
Him and Sam went together. Donny came back pretty pissed from that after, did he not, Sam?
He was still mad.
Pretty mad.
In his heat race interview, he was still pretty mad.
So, once again, I'm going to remind people that trash us for our lists in our top 100 and top 25 that we did do a who are the best young up-and-comers, and we gave you 5 names, I want to say, and Cam Martin already turned in an impressive performance, but another name that young J.J. Hickle identified as a youngster to look out for was Casey Jedrzak. He ran top 10 on the final night in the Bill Rose car. JJ, what did you see from him, and did that performance surprise you?
He held a steady wheel all night. That's just, the kid seems to be really smooth. Honestly, it was surprised. I kind of thought that some of his better runs and more standout runs early in the year would be at smaller tracks or maybe around the Ohio area, just the Ohio, Michigan area. It seems like places he's got a lot more experience at. To just go to Volusia for his first time and click off a top 10 with the Outlaws, against a field like that, it was tough to have that one on my bingo card. But I mean, I got a lot of faith in the kid, and if he's going to be able to do that at the half mile stuff, man, he's definitely, like the rookie of the year deal is going to be tough with Emerson. But everybody thought that Cole was kind of a shoe-in last year, and Garrett won it, so it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. If he continues to just progress how he has, and he's already pretty solid on the short track stuff, and he goes out. I mean, he was on the front row at Eldora as well, so obviously he's decent on the half mile stuff too. I just say that because of probably a lack of experience more than anything. So yeah, impressive stuff, and impressive stuff from the Bill Rose car. I mean, to be that quick, it's pretty awesome.
Sam, you and I were watching him all race, and to us, the car never really looked great. And to be honest, you and I were waiting for him to fall through the field. What do you see him do there? How do you think he was able to keep the car up there? What do you think he did good in that? Terrible way to talk.
Good question.
What do you think made him succeed when it looked like he did not have like a perfect race car?
I mean, track position obviously did help, but and the way the track was, I mean, that helped. But I mean, yeah, usually a guy in his situation, they're gonna fall to about 15th, usually in a long race like that, just from not having the experience. But Man, at one point he was driving back by like marks for fourth at one point. Surprised the hell out of me because I looked back. I was like, oh shit, like he's not falling, you know, like he's staying in the hunt. I mean, I don't know, like, cause the car really didn't look super great to me, but I don't know, like obviously he did a good job holding on to what they had. But the car didn't even look super great. Like I felt like they had more on the table for him to get. I just don't, you know, like I felt like he just probably just did a really good job putting his car in the part of the track it needed to be in to work best for him. But I did see him move around a little bit as well. And it really didn't hurt him a whole lot when he did move around. I think once he got back down to the bottom though and stayed down there, I felt like that was what probably helped him stay. You know, he probably wasn't going to hold off a few of the guys, especially Kofoid, but yeah, I can't explain why he was able to stay decent as he did, but all I can say is, I mean, it's definitely a good start for them. Probably a little pump in the arm to get the year started. You know, when it's your first year on the Outlaw deal, you definitely need nights like that, and it's good to have them early.
Jackson, last year we had a great Rookie of the Year battle in the World of Outlaw Tour. An interesting season, really, for the rookies. Are you guys on the Outlaw Tour going to be able to back that up this year?
I don't know. I mean, the bar's set pretty high. I mean, I'm honestly drawing a blank of who all we even have. We have Emerson, we have Torgerson, the six Jedrzejek. I think they're all going to have their moments. That's for sure.
Yeah, Boguski and Thiel.
Oh, Boguski and my twin brother Scotty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, I definitely see it.
He was parked beside us all week.
I never thought it until you said that.
When I had smaller glasses, it was way more.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I think Torgerson or Emerson. I think obviously the betting favorite's probably Emerson. But I think that like when we get to track like Eldora, the Grove, Lincoln, I think the 1A is going to be, even Knoxville, the 1A might substantially be better. And I was not real impressed with the speed that Emerson had this past weekend. I thought they were kind of behind a little bit. I'm
looking
he was better
here last year.
The first night they went plus 12 in the feature, which is decent, but they just didn't look like they had quite the car speed all weekend. So I'll be curious to see what happens when we come back. But I definitely think Torgerson and Emerson, I think it could be pretty close going throughout the whole year.
So I'm going to take us away from Volusia, and things have been pretty interesting away from the racetrack with the Knoxville-based team. We saw a couple weeks ago that Caleb Johnson was getting out of the Dennis Gainey ride, and now it looks like Dennis may be in some legal trouble. I don't know if you guys have gone over the documents. JJ and I were discussing it before we recorded, but man, this is insane, is it not, Jackson?
It looks like some people owe Caleb Johnson an apology.
He got bashed.
That's
Go
all
on, Jack.
That's all I got on the whole subject. That's all I got on the.
You've been in the group chat talking about this.
I know just as much as you guys do. I mean, everyone kind of jumped on Caleb for leaving right before the season started. I feel like Dennis kind of make him look like a bad guy for leaving, but obviously he was onto something. I'm glad Caleb got out of that, and he's, I would assume, going to go back to running the 22K, and which is going to be good. He was pretty good in that thing at Huset's. I don't know. I like Caleb. I'm glad he's looks like he's going to come out of this on the right side of it all and be just fine. So,
JJ, you were pretty on top of this. Is there anything you can add to the situation?
I mean, I'm not that on top of it, Daryl. I just live right where it's all going down, I feel like. But
oh, come on. You gave us all the info.
No, yeah. I mean, honestly, no, I don't know. Like, it just, obviously, it looks like a pretty bad deal from all the paperwork you can see and stuff. Like, I don't have a lot to say on it. Like, I got along with Dennis just fine, and it's obviously terrible to see something like that happen, and like, to see a deal like that. Like, the way I look at it is I put myself in a guy like Caleb's spot. You release you're going to do 120 plus races, and then 2 weeks later you're kind of dick in hand, for better word, no better term. It's like he's got some of his own stuff and whatnot, and he did really well for himself last year as far as putting his name on the map and really, going out and performing with the opportunity that he did have with Dennis. So as long as Caleb's in a good spot, and like all their crew ends up in good places and everybody keeps going sprint car racing, it's just seems like it's one of those things that happens in our sport every once in a while. And it's a hard thing to really say much about.
Well, Sam, I tried to get Jackson and JJ to get us sued, but they're staying pretty quiet. Do you have anything to add?
Well, what I will say is, Caleb gets blasted for leaving this deal. And then obviously we find out all this shit. And the guy really doesn't usually get very silent on Twitter. And I haven't heard shit out of him now. So obviously, the rumors are
That's
true.
because
and
the Twitter page doesn't exist anymore, Sam.
Well, that may be. Probably means something bad happened. And probably we're going to be quiet now. I don't like any part of it, like it's not good for anybody. And I just, I just can't believe, like, okay, why would you bash this guy if you caused this problem? Like, that bothers me. Like, and I don't know, like,
It's kind of messed up, honestly.
yeah, I don't know why you would bash this guy that was trying to get out of a situation that was going to be really hairy. And then all of a sudden it comes to light, like, there's more reason that you lost your job. Like, now all of a sudden everybody knows why. And I don't know, like, it just, I don't like the look of it at all. And like, and I say, like, if a guy's going to do that, hell yeah, put that money in racing. Like, it's a fucking, like, it's badass. Like, I will say this on a positive side. He's gave a lot of people a lot of opportunity, and I wouldn't even call, like, what he did was totally selfish. Like, look what he did for a lot of people. Like, I know it's shitty at the end of the day, like, whatever, but look what he did for a lot of people. That's pretty neat. It's not like he just took this money and put it in his bank account and said, fuck everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, he actually did something for people. Like, I mean, if I could take a if I could take a positive, I would take that positive. That's what I would take.
I use the term the Robin Hood for sprint car racing. Like, I'm not really cool with stealing a lot of millions of dollars, but if you're going to put most of them back into the sport I love,
no, and that's what I say. Like,
in my book,
I feel like,
which is a terrible take from me, but like, I love sprint car racing, and what you're saying is exactly how I feel about it. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
if he's putting money back in. He's giving guys lots of opportunities. I mean, look how many heat race wins Dustin Selvage got last year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep, he's a legend.
That's awesome.
So I want to say that, well, you mentioned those Dustin, like, we talk about Caleb, you kind of got to feel bad for Dustin and Wimmer.
Yeah,
for sure. Wimmer kind of hung out to dry now, so it's kind of unfortunate.
Absolutely. And obviously none of these guys probably knew what was going on, clearly.
No, and I think it's pretty obvious, if you want to win heat races, you got to get Dustin Selvage in your car.
Yeah, we got to get Dustin Selvage a ride now. That's got to be our next fucking project.
Oh, we should probably get the old shocker back out. The old shocker symbol on the wing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
With the little white splash.
He's been on the show.
Can we call it the white splash, Daryl? The white splash on the wing?
Yeah, we can call it the white splash that he used to have under the wing.
The white splash.
So normally we struggle to talk shit. but we actually have 3 shit-talking things to deal with here.
The segment that I have isn't talking shit.
No,
it's more of
I'm
just...
going to explain that. Sam, so we're going to talk shit now. And Sam's talking shit is more of a public service announcement. So, Sam, would you like to give race teams your public service announcement?
Okay. Most race teams know, not all, but most know, that when you unload your trailer, you park your mule on the right-hand side. It's a pretty common occurrence. You go to the right side. And I'm not going to elaborate on it, but I hope that we see in the pit area that everybody parks their mules on the same side. That's simple. And I think most big teams know, or most teams that have been out long enough know, yeah, there's the odd night where we got to park on the left side because whatever reason. But if you have the ability, we just all need to park on the right-hand side. You know what I'm saying? What do you think, JJ?
I've never put that much thought into it, man. I usually back.
You have.
I back my mule out. I
put it
usually
in the
back
issue.
my mule out and see where everybody else's shit is and get it on whatever one makes sense, man.
Oh man,
Oh,
Well,
that's
we ran into the
funny,
classic
dude.
problem. We ran into the classic problem. We pulled into our spot, and one guy had a
Yeah,
mule on
that's a
one
bad
side of
deal.
us, and another guy had a mule on the other side of us.
I'm just
And
trying
then
to
you know
remember
what?
who
So-
you guys were parked next to.
It
So
wasn't
what
the
we
people
did-
beside us' fault. That's
but it
why we're not
wasn't-
naming names.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't his fault. Because if you went way down the road, there was a guy that parked his mule on the wrong side. Everybody else is on the right side. So then it messes the guy up beside us because, well, this guy's parked like this,
So
right?
Rich
Mule
But-
police,
problem.
Sam Hafertepe
Yeah,
Jr.
but
Big team problem.
it was just funny because me and Chad Morgan were talking about it and we were laughing. He's like, well, I told him, I said, hey, dude, are you going to park your mule on the left or the right side? I said, because I'm kind of in a pickle over here. And he goes, yeah, somebody down the line had to fuck the order up. And sure enough, you walk down there and there's one guy that's just,
And
you know,
Sam, as
probably-
we're moving everything, Sam's like, I'm saying something on the driver's project.
and
your outlet.
And it's not even like, it's not like, oh, it's the end of the world. You know, I'm sure some guy's going to take a picture of my mule be parked on the left side of my trailer one night. I know it's probably going to happen.
It's going to
but-
be me.
Dude,
Yeah,
I'm never gonna
probably.
unload and not think about that now. That's hilarious. I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm
thinking
telling
about
you,
it in my
but
head,
that-
it
but
usually
okay.
is.
Get everybody, or
It's
can
usually
I?
on the right.
we
And
can
that's
do
the
everybody
reason.
Because
or
my
can I?
jack and stuff.
But that is the reason for saying this, because now if every guy goes, oh, we're not on the right hand. Well, guess what? If everybody knows to park on the right hand side, it fixes everything.
It's got to be a different type of mule because your jack and everything, it all needs to be on the right side. Like it makes
Exactly.
everything a
All
bugger
right, well,
not to. So now that you're mentioning it,
I'm going to make a note, and I'm going to call my people and make sure it is in the World of Outlaws and the ASCS
I'm
rulebook
sure,
tomorrow.
You should know. It should
And
definitely be in the driver's
100%.
meeting.
And
Cody
100%.
Cody Cordell, guys, you need to park your mules on the right hand side, right? The driver's
Sam's
meeting.
100% going left side when we get to Arizona. 100%.
But just so you know, it was nothing to do with the guy beside us. It was the guy down the row that caused the issues.
Now, JJ, yours is less of a public service announcement, but it may still be a public service announcement. What would you like to talk shit about concerning transponder placement, JJ?
They should never be on the back of the car. Like there's no such
Agreed.
thing as a photo finish to see whose back bumper crossed the start finish line first. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. And at Chili Bowl, a place where they are on the back of the car, that's a spot where there's a lot of real tight finishes where the back of the car and the front of the car could change something, you know, and just in general, every time I put a transponder on the back of my car, which is quite a bit throughout the season, I get just irritated. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like there's no photo finish of the back bumper. That's pretty short, pretty sweet, but it doesn't make any sense. Put the transponders on the front of the car. And if you got transponders, qualify, use the transponders right.
Who still does that besides Chili Bowl? USAC?
Power Eye, Sprint Invaders.
I think USAC does too. I remember a couple years ago there was a sprint week race with Leary and Timez that was like a photo finish, and I think the transponders were on the rear.
Yeah, dude. They're just like, what's the point of the photo finish part now? Because are we going to listen to the computer or the actual picture? Like, it's a tough deal. And with the technology we have these days, why make it a gray area?
Well, and some of the fault too, I will say, is like now that I've gone to a bunch of these tracks more than once, you kind of figure out where the loop is. I think it's a flaw that a lot of these tracks, the loop is before the start finish line, or like before the flag stand. Like at Burlington, for example, the loop is in turn 4.
But they
like right off, there's a light pole in turn 4 that's where the loop is. It doesn't make any sense.
A lot of those.
Is that where one half of Brad Sweet's car landed?
No.
Yeah.
A lot of those places, though, at least like they will tell you at the pit meeting, like this timing loop is not where the start finish line is.
Yeah. I know, like Stockton back in the day, the loop was diagonal too. So
that's extra fun.
Knoxville's is the same way. Well, it's
there's two. There's a couple at Knoxville. You can use the one that's before the start finish line, and then there's one right at the start finish line. One works better than the other.
I can tell you, I don't know if Volusia's changed theirs. I don't know if Volusia's changed theirs, but Wayne Johnson and I got screwed on that one year. We were battling for the last transfer spot on the last lap at a Outlaw show. We made the pass. Johnny Gibson's even on the mic saying, yeah, Wayne Johnson got the last transfer spot. And then they go down the back straightaway and after the race is over, and like Johnny's like, oh, no, never mind. They didn't make the pass. And it's like, everyone.
I honestly don't know where it's at Volusia, to be honest with you. I'm sure I can figure it out.
It's right by that big tire in the infield.
And then the last thing I wanted to go on, and I think a lot of people feel this way, but I also know it's not practical. We've done a public service announcement on where to park your mules, and we've done a public service announcement on where to put your transponder. Before I go into my rant, Sam, JJ, you make your living off this, so I feel like you'll know better than me. If you take a provisional with the ASCS or the World of Outlaws or High Limit, what do you actually have to do for it to pay off? Like, I know, Sam, when you and I started, you didn't get points and you had to get to a certain spot before the money even really got affected. I think you get points now. Could we just, before I go into my rant, explain how the provisional, like, why take
ASCS is full points, and I don't think the money changes. But like the Outlaws, you get full points, but you forfeit your start money. So like, say, what is it, 16th or 16th is like
14th or 15th, I think, where you got like,
so
where you
then
start
like
money.
Say it's 1,200 to start and 15th pays 1,300. That's when you would start making. You make $100 if you ran 15th or whatever, and so on.
So the first year I did the ASCS with Alex, another driver who shall not be named took a provisional, jumped the start, spun in front of a bunch of us. No one wrecked, but we basically had almost destroyed our shit from a guy taking a provisional and spinning in front of us after he jumped the start.
So we know it's a guy.
Yes. Well, we're going to involve you, Sam. So you and I went to the work area quite a few times. You and I went to the work area quite a few times.
I was going to say, this stems from Daryl having to work too hard in the work area.
I don't like to run.
He sweat one time. Fuck, it was the end of the world.
But after that deal that I had, whenever Alex and I took a provisional.
And he cut his hand.
Whenever Alex and I would take a provisional, we were basically under the understanding that she was just going to take the green and drive it into turn 1 and get off the track, because we didn't want to fuck up the people's races that were actually deserving to be in the race. Now, obviously, we did a bunch of work area trips, and fuck, man, I had to run. I almost lost a finger. It was terrible.
But you got on TV, Daryl.
But I will say, I'm pretty sure every single car we made contact with was not in that race because they qualified. And that's starting to really piss me off that guys that are in the race are taken out by guys that shouldn't even be in the fucking race. They had their chance to make it. They missed it. I'm pretty over provisionals right now. Like, my car has basically it's been wrecked twice, and it was almost wrecked a third time by cars that were in provisionals that shouldn't have been there. Racing is a sport where we're trying to beat everyone, and all of a sudden, when it comes time for racing is capitalism, and then all of a sudden, when it comes time for certain people to miss the show, all of a sudden it becomes communism, and you get a spot, and you get a spot, and you get a spot. So my rant is fuck provisionals. Get rid of fucking provisionals. If you didn't make the race, you didn't make the race. I'm sorry. You follow the tour. You're going to get another race next week. You're going to get plenty of opportunities to make money. Fuck off with provisional.
Well, I think we should get rid of guaranteed work area time and provisionals, to be honest.
I would be up for both.
I think there should be a work area, but I don't think there should be any guaranteed time.
I'm fine with that.
Because I hated watching y'all work on my car 3 times.
Me too.
I did too. I hated it too, just for the record.
I was enjoying it from home. I'm like, get him, Daryl.
So this brings up a good point. These are 2 discussions that High Limit has actually changed their rules.
Yeah, for the better.
I'm on board with the series provisionals. I don't know if I'm
Wait, what is the provisional rule?
limited to 2 per race.
Changed. Oh.
And not eligible for
yeah,
awards.
so they don't have like a 28 car
Correct.
field. Right. That's how the All-Stars used to do it. Just like
And then I don't necessarily agree with the work area time. I think everybody should get time. I think that's part of the entertainment.
I think it kills the entertainment.
2 minutes to change the front axle isn't
that's
I think
entertaining.
it kills the entertainment. I think people forget what it used to be like to show up to World of Outlaw race and have those fuckers done in like 5 minutes because they're awesome. I think it's the opposite.
Back in the day, every red flag was an open red, right?
I don't agree with that either.
Yeah,
I think
because I do think the work area deal
every World
makes
of Outlaw
guys drive like dick faces because they know they're not ever going to be out of the fucking race.
But
but
being the TV guy and I need content and entertainment. That's entertainment.
I think racing is way more entertaining than watching me cut my finger.
Sure, but it's a good story too.
Yeah, Daryl. I mean, honestly, you on the camera was entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
If I could have seen you actually bleeding.
Yeah, but no, I think it's the opposite of entertainment. I'm sick of every major sprint car race taking 45 minutes to finish. Like, we're not even. It drives me nuts. That's why it's called a sprint car race. It's not a fucking pit stop race. But yeah, it drives me nuts. But we're also allowed to disagree. That's why we're talking shit. Jackson, you're just wrong. That's the thing.
Yep.
That's the thing. So I need to do a rave after all these rants. KRCO, they have a fundraiser on February 28th in Knoxville here. They take care of like all the Knoxville
incredible
drivers and all that. They're so good to all the people. They give us safety stuff every season. If you get injured, they take care of you. So support the KRCO. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're absolutely incredible. I don't think people have a clue how much they help.
It's crazy.
Yeah, while you're on that vein, just support anything that Knoxville Raceway does.
Yeah, support anything that supports racing.
Except people stealing $5 million and supporting racing. Don't support that.
I mean, do it at your own lead. Do it at your own. You know?
Yeah. Do whatever you can get away with.
Be diligent with your paper trails. All right, people.
Yeah. If you take anything away from this show, do a better job of stealing money.
Oh, Jesus.
Daryl.
All right. We're back.
Yeah.
We are back.
Are we even gonna be able to do this next week? Or are you guys gonna be gallivanting around?
What are you
gonna?
There's no racing.
Yeah, as long as we have.
Oh, you don't race next week? Oh, that's all right. Well, there's plenty for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's ask Sam what hair care products he uses.
Well,
we're gonna do an on-site episode in Arizona. You're just gonna have to come on down, JJ.
I know. Well,
weather
fun.
will be good.
I haven't even checked.
When we were going to do an episode where we answered people's questions, and then we sucked and didn't do the episode. So I am going to be adding people's questions. We'll add one question to every show from the people that submitted those questions.
Are you adding one
Or
now?
that's what we could talk about
No,
next
we won't
week.
do one now because we're not ready for it. But I will add one.
No,
to the next
you're
episode.
not ready. We're ready.
We're ready.
You're
Oh,
not
you want to
ready.
go?
Yeah.
Okay, let me look it up.
We're
Let me-
only at
or you could have
only at an hour 27 minutes. I mean,
Or you could have an episode next week.
Okay, Seth Paulus on Facebook wrote, as a
Oh,
local
this is a long
racer,
question.
as a local racer, what part can you buy on the car that is absolutely worth the money that is not a need to have? What,
Rock screen.
where should someone invest their money and what can they save on?
I mean, a rock screen is a good deal for pretty cheap. A lot of guys don't.
So
run
is
one.
this like a 2-part question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's like a nice thing to have that is absolutely worth the money, but it's not necessary? And then where can he spend his money wisely and save money on a race car that most people wouldn't think of? I can give a quick answer that I don't
For
know.
a
if you
local
did-
guy, what all local guys do wrong is they try to cheap out on the engine because it's the most expensive part of the race car. And that's the one place you should not cheap out. You should get a nice, solid piece because it will save you a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, but
rather
I
than
think a
trying
lot
to
of the-
piece together an engine and do this, and they think they're saving all this money, it never works. Trust me.
Yeah,
Me and
the
my
problem
dad
with
did
that
it for a
was-
long time. And it wasn't because we didn't have the money. It was my dad's logic was we should piece this together. This seems more logical. And at the time, it does seem more logical. But when you blow that motor up and you pay to fix that motor three more times, you are money ahead to go ahead and spend the money on a better, nicer, solid engine. I would think that's the part that most people get wrong almost every time.
Yeah, my counter to that would be is I think some people, like, I just flat out couldn't afford a nice piece. I didn't have an option. My response would be, if you want to have something nice, drive lines generally don't get trashed too badly. I remember
I don't
Sam
know.
and I
had one.
yeah,
I had one
they
this last
sometimes
weekend.
get trashed, but in general, like, chances are if you're
When you
a low
backed
buck-
into the wall, it hit your
Yeah,
driveline?
sometimes drive lines will get damaged if your crew works on the nose wing and doesn't look at the back of the car to see if there's any issues
if your
back
crew
there.
if your crew gets told they have 30 seconds, the crew's probably going to the nose wing.
But you know what that is, Daryl? That's good cinema.
Yeah,
Yes,
good
yeah,
television,
great
Daryl. Thank
cinema.
it
you.
was so good.
But no, I would.
The best
if
part's the torque tube rolling down the racetrack. That's the best part.
Another thing I would suggest, it's kind of expensive, but I think you guys would agree. A Kinsler Tough Pump is it's like, I don't know, what would that go for now, Sam? I haven't had to buy
Over
one of them,
1,000.
but you never have to replace it. Is that not fair to say?
Yeah,
And
that's
you
not
won't
totally
hurt your
true.
motor.
It's not totally
You
true.
probably won't burn a motor down.
I've
with it.
never had to replace a Kinsler Tough Pump. We've
gotta
had
rebuild them.
we've had Charlie check one for us and have it literally read like new.
But
after
Daryl, that's
first
just
week.
because you're a savant at maintenance.
Yes,
Clearly.
That would be one I would say is like a Kinsler Tough Pump or an equivalent. It's not a
Man,
glamorous thing to buy, but it's generally not going to go bad and is going to be like top quality.
My suggestion would probably be like just one good set of shocks. Like a lot of guys, like I know in my book, I bought like every used shock that was the brand I wanted and carried this big Gatorade tub around with like 15 shocks in it all the time, which was, I thought I had depth and stuff, but just one good set of shocks that's like what you actually need, I feel like is something that, for his first question, it's like you don't absolutely have to have them. You can buy whatever shocks, but just something like that, I feel like can really change the feel of your race car for a pretty reasonable price. But, based on what you guys are saying, like every time you crash, you're going to probably crash your shocks. So
That's kind of where, like, I helped a guy that was local before I started working for Dirt Vision, and like we had old used like APCO shocks for this 305, and like we were just junk, couldn't go anywhere.
They also asked like, what should he invest in money or where can he save money? I think being smart about when you use tires, like
Yes.
basically,
Tires for sure.
if you're not in the first 4 rows, I think you should be on pretty used tires. I don't know if you guys have anything to add on that.
Yeah, I think
Pretty much.
tires are always overused on every level. I think the Outlaws overuse tires because they can. I think we do sometimes, honestly, you know, coming from a standpoint where I don't always try to put new tires on. We try to run used in a lot of certain circumstances with ASCS, but I still think like we tend to overuse some tires as well. And I think most guys do. I think used tires are not a bad choice a lot of times. I think, when you're trying to qualify for an outlaw show, obviously that's probably a little different dynamic, but I think used tires are very, very, very wise things that you can buy off of high end teams for cheap price and save a lot of money and probably get some good used stuff buying them off of high end teams.
I can say, for example, a couple of, and like to piggyback off what Sam said, like the definition of used tires to an outlaw team versus a local team is vastly different. I will say a couple of years ago, my father-in-law was going to run the Gold Cup and he didn't have tires, the right tires, because they were on HTWs, I think, at the time on the West Coast. And I bought 3 used tires from Roth and I bought a left rear from Big Game for $150 for the one tire, and I think I paid like $250 for the rest of those used tires, and those lasted him the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So
Like the first night I met Sam was when the World of Outlaws came to Oshwegan for the first time, and my Chevy Cobalt left with like 20 tires packed in it, and I raced for 2 years.
I loaded
on
the
it.
Dirt Vision trailer up
It's
with
the
tires
best.
and took him to him, and that $150 left rear that I bought him for Gold Cup lasted him all the way through Gold Cup and the last like 2 or 3 weekly races at Placerville.
So do you guys have any
Yeah,
other quick suggestions to save money off the top?
I mean, tires are definitely, I probably say, would almost a number one, and then just a hauler. I mean, not going too crazy with your hauler. If you're just local racing, going there and back every day, it's like you don't got no speed. You can't gain a tenth with what you're towing your shit
Trey
with.
Osborne
It's
proves
just,
that haulers don't win races.
that's right. That big tall son of a gun barely even fits in his truck to haul it.
I
And
thought
the
about
other
no,
thing the other thing I would
Really?
say is like usually, like if you need something as a race team, and we're on the thing about talking about tires, is like usually somebody, that's like one thing that sponsors you can always find a sponsor usually, hey man, I need some tires for this weekend, or somebody would, that's something like sponsors would chip in to buy, I think at a more, common rate than, because it's something you have to have, obviously. So I also think from a sponsorship side, that's probably one of the easiest things to seek sponsorship on and get it and be successful with it, is usually saying, hey man, I need to get some tires for this weekend. I always think I know when we were kind of hunting some stuff, like that would always be something, hey man, you think you can get us some tires? And usually it's a thing that a lot of sponsors would do, because it's not, well, I mean, it's not cheap as it used to be, but it's not like thousands of dollars, in a shot. A guy buy you a set of rears and get you rolling. It's not a bad thing to ask for on the sponsorship side either.
Or
I had one pop
fuel
into my
card
head.
sponsorship.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
had
other
one
thing.
pop into my head that I'd be curious you guys answering. Doubling up your race nights is would you guys say that's a pretty important thing to do, or would you say it's not as important? Like doubling
Based
your
on
race week.
travel, like yeah, if you're traveling, if you're going 200 or 300 miles away and you can race somewhere else close by, I mean, if you can get twice as much out of the mileage that you put in, that just I would say number one for everything is just be wise with when you do things. Like if there's a 1-day race somewhere farther away, maybe save that night for something closer, or for a 2-day show that makes more sense. And that, being wise with how you do stuff goes back to exactly like what Daryl said. Like if you're not in the first 4 or 5 rows, don't bolt your best stuff on. Just kind of, if you're going to a quarter mile short track, maybe don't put your best top wing on that night, you know? Like I have a whole car that I race at tracks that are 1/4 mile and smaller, and then tracks that I, you know, a car that I'll run at the 1/2 mile stuff. It's like,
Tell them what you did for your first time at Eldora, Sam.
Oh, fucking built a brand new car. Fucking brand new frame, brand new wings, brand new everything. Unloaded this thing, and we left Eldora. And I'd never been to Eldora. We left Eldora, and that thing got fucking hammered. I mean, the powder coat on the frame, it looked like we raced that thing 10 fucking nights just because all the rocks and shit inside Eldora, you know? I mean, it was bad. And then I'll tell you what we never did again. We never took a new car to Eldora ever again after that. Never, ever.
picking your battles is a big one as far as trying to like make a budget last a long time as a team.
And I would say, like, going what we're talking about, the traveling deal, like, I see it big on our team. Like, if we have a one night on a weekend race, what it costs us to do the one night versus what we bring in and having a 2-night weekend, like, it's dumb for us to go race one night. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. At least the 2 nights, if we can go run 2 nights and then get back home, it's a very, very, I don't know, I would say it's way smarter to go run 2 nights in a weekend and get, you know, if you get some tow money or you get some whatever, it's just way, way smarter deal. Like, you know, going to, if you were like, well, I can run one race every weekend, I would like try to make it to where we run 2 races on a weekend and then maybe have a weekend off, because financially it's a way smarter deal.
The other thing I see a lot of teams do, and this is more teams that can win, is
So
I will
basically
see
any car that Daryl works on.
yes. What I see a lot of teams do is say there'll be 2 shows, right? You'll see like one show that pays like $3,000 to win and another show that pays, say, $2,000 to win. Well, everyone just goes to the fucking $3,000 to win show, and then you end up with like 6 guys that can win the race, and one guy's gonna win. I think people get caught by that. Oh, there's an extra 1,000 on top of this one. If you're a local guy, you should be looking at what it starts and what it pays through the field way quicker than you should be looking at what's on the top. I see high-end teams make that mistake all the time, where it's like, oh, we'll just get this quick little $3 or $4 grand, and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 teams there, and all of a sudden 3 or 4 of those teams are going home with like $800.
Daryl, sounds like you're a cherry picking bastard.
Daryl, Ricky Bobby's dad was wrong. Like, if you ain't first, you're last. At second, third, fourth, sometimes get you on down the road, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't a very good dad either, if you watch the movie.
No, degenerate father, to be quite honest.
Sometimes that 10th place paycheck is just what you need.
Yeah, so don't listen to Ricky Bobby's dad.
And sometimes you're racing back there where the pay is no different, and also know that. Like, know where the pay stops paying you more. And
so basically you're saying going to the work area 3 times, we should have known we shouldn't have went to the work area 3 times.
I would have thought you were racing for World of Outlaw points with the tenacity you guys showed that night.
Yeah, I'm surprised after the second time you were like, just like,
yeah. I was amazed.
Well, here's the part people don't realize. Here's the part people don't realize. This is the insider trading or whatever. When Sam backed it into the fence there, we all watched and went, oh, no, he's done. He's not going to go to the work area. Sam at the same time went, I'm not going to go to the work area. We're done for the night. And then the officials were like, no, you can't leave. So you might as well go back.
They wouldn't let me go out the back gate. So I was like, well, fuck. They're going to push us in the infield.
Work area. Fucking get it done.
I love it.
Yeah. So we actually, everyone on the team was like, let's load up. And Baby Jesus was like, not today. You guys are wrecking some shit.
Yeah, not today. Let's throw the fucking driveline out of the fucking car.
Yeah. Yeah.
My camera guy said, push in. I said, show me Sam. I want to see how Sam's feeling. And he
Yeah. Like
looked very
JJ's talking about all these brilliant moves Buddy made with gravel, and it's like all we saw was them going down the backstretch.
He protected so well.
Yeah, we have no idea. We just saw, there's the backstretch, and that lap's done.
Meanwhile, you're
Next
on like
time,
oxygen, just
Next time, Daryl's gonna need to have gloves for the work areas that isn't cut his hands.
I could have lost.
I'll bring some to Casa Grande just to make sure he's safe.
I could have lost a finger there. It would have been terrible. Well, I think we've run our mouths enough. Looks like we've gone long enough. There's not even too much to edit, I don't think. Thanks for doing this, fellas. Like I say, Dom's probably going to be off for, I don't know, how long does it take for a cock reduction
4 to
surgery?
6 weeks, he said, before the things like quit swelling and he doesn't have to sit to pee anymore.
It's that or a deviated septum. I can't remember which he got.
Either way, 4 to 6 weeks, and he might sit to pee. I don't know.
He said, I thought he said his wife said it never swells, so I don't know.
That's maybe what the surgery is for. It's like a permanent Blue Chew type of deal.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What's that?